Welcome back, everybody, to the final endgame tier list video that we are putting out for MLB The Show 22. We look forward to the future of MLB The Show 23, but we are going over the best outfield as a group that you can use in the game. We're doing the top 5 today. So number 5 through number 1, they're all going to have 3 outfielders in it, and I'll list them in order from left field, center field to right field, how I would use them as a unit in the game. So that's how that's going to be. We're going to give you a bunch of honorable mentions, and those are going to be divided into 2 groups: speed and mashing. And I'll give you maybe a reason why they're not in the top 5 as a unit, but these are great guys that you could fill in if you don't like any of the guys that I list above them. And just to cover some bases on some amazing cards, because you'll see how many just really, really good ones there were this year. So let's get right into it. The first speed honorable mention is going to be Michael Harris, 99 speed. He's a lefty. He absolutely destroys righties. Ricky Henderson, 99 speed and steal. He's really, really good versus lefties. Next up is Trey Turner. He's definitely not fully on the list because he is only a center fielder in the outfield. Next, we got Mookie Betts. He lacks a little in the speed, but he has great defense. Harrison Bader's another honorable mention. 99 speed is really nice. He's really good versus righties. The reverse splits go crazy. Next, Byron Buxton. He's only here because of the name. We know how great his swing is. Just 88 contacts, not going to get it done on any God Squad type of a deal. Now we're going into the second tier of honorable mentions, which is going to be the mashers. And these guys absolutely mash, but they lack a little bit in speed or defense or both or reaction or something that prevents me from wanting to use them in the outfield. First off is Stan Musial. I mean, oh my goodness, Stan got maxed contact and he's a reverse power guy. Nick Swisher, switch hitter, 65 speed. He actually can get up to diamond over there in right field. Jorge Soler, the double barrel, 125. Who would have thought? Gary Sheffield, fantastic option also. Another double barrel power guy. He actually gets up to 123 contact on both sides. Really, really, really good. He's more of a third baseman than anything. Babe Ruth, I know a lot of people might be surprised he's on here. I think Babe Ruth has one of the worst swings in the game, and I absolutely can't stand him. Another great card, Luis Gonzalez, a way better swing than Babe Ruth despite slightly worse stats, and not even really that much slightly. Billy Williams is a super interesting card. He actually reminds me a lot of Michael Harris, just slower, and obviously not the maxed out defense. So Yordan Alvarez, one of the absolute best swings in the game. Plus he has all the live series quirks that make him even better. Albert Pujols, I would never play him in the outfield because first and third base are really good options for him, but I guess he really could if you wanted to. 60 speed's not the worst thing ever. Vladimir Guerrero was another fringe guy that almost made it. He's just really, really good. Just a low power versus righties is the only real flaw. Jim Edmonds is actually insane too. He's probably best at first base also because the speed is so low, but he's a really, really good fielder. So another honorable mention is Aaron Judge. He only doesn't make the list because of the speed. Again, 72 speed is just too low. The next one is Dante Bichette. I can't believe he got a card this good. Almost maxed out contact and power versus both. He's kind of like Vlad Sr., but better as a hitter. And the final honorable mention is Austin Riley. He's going to be a really good left fielder if you put him out there. I like him better at third, and I would have been yelled at by my friends if I didn't put him on the list. So here he is, the last honorable mention. So now that that is done, we're going to get to the big boys now. We're going to get to the actual top 5 outfield units in the game from left, center, and right field in that order. If you guys have any questions about why I put these guys here, just let me know. This list is not perfect, but it's what I would do based off my preferences and my experiences in the game, okay? The number 5 best outfield in the game is going to be left field, Eddie Rosario, center field, Alfonso Soriano, and right field, Kyle Tucker. And let's get into why. I think Eddie Rosario is absolutely one of the best hitters, pure hitters in this game. 125 contact on both sides and over 100 vision, well over 110 power on both sides is going to be really, really good. Plus his fielding is amazing. He has live series quirks and he's a left field primary, which is great because he doesn't lose any fielding as he goes down. He does actually get up to diamond fielding at one point, which is amazing, and he'll get well over 90 reaction, which helps make up a little bit for the speed. I know I've said on a couple guys on this list that speed is important, and I do agree with that, but with how good and how balanced this bat is for Eddie Rosario, plus the live series quirks that he gets, which are going to be situational hitter and first pitch hitter, he's going to mash for you guys. I promise. If you've never used an Eddie, he's so good. He was my favorite postseason card from last year, and I have him back again in the top echelon of this. He's going to be the left fielder for the squad. Let's move over to center field, Alfonso Soriano. Now, Soriano made this because he had the one thing that Mookie didn't. And remember when I mentioned Mookie Betts, that he was not as good versus right-handed hitting. Alfonso is essentially Mookie, but flipped on the contact. I'd way rather have the 119 contact versus right than versus left with a guy like this, with how the meta kind of is, unless you're facing Randy Johnson, which is kind of the way it is, but you'll have handedness advantage if nothing else. So Alfonso is going to have 90 speed, 98 fielding. You'll get it to 99 fielding at P2, well over 95 reaction, which is amazing. So he's going to play a really, really, really good center field, especially with 93 arm out there. He's going to cover a lot of ground that Eddie might not be able to get to. And especially for Kyle Tucker, I know he's a little bit on the slower side as well. So he'll cover a lot of the ground that those guys will lack with that 90 speed and that great fielding. And he hits righties really, really well. His card is just so much better than it was last year too. So if you haven't tried it, please do, because Alfonso is a beast. And then in right field is going to be Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker, again, 69 speed is not the greatest, but he is a good fielder. His arm isn't super strong, so if you wanted to maybe put him in left field, if you didn't like Eddie Rosario, for example, that would probably be the best spot for Kyle, but I do like keeping him in the right to keep that defense at a diamond. Plus, his reaction is good. The only flaw is the speed and the arm strength. But then you look at the hitting side of things, right? 121, 118, 113, 121 is so good. Reverse power splits versus left, but he has more contact versus right. He has live quirks as well. Dead Red, Night Player, and Fighter are all really, really good. This guy is actually so insane. He was one of the best outfielders last year. They brought him back. He's still one of the best outfielders. And this, to me, is the number 5 best outfield in MLB The Show 22. The number 4 outfield unit in MLB The Show 22 is right here for you. It's going to be Larry Walker in left field, Julio Rodriguez in center, and Hunter Renfroe in right field for you. And let's get into why. I think Larry Walker might be one of the top 2, 3, 4 left-handed bats in the entire game. He is so good. I don't know what it is, whether it's his stance, his swing, but he always plays so well above his attributes. 125 versus right is crazy. 114 contact versus left is nothing to scoff at, and he has 90 power versus left, which is going to get it done on the reverse splits. You're not facing a whole lot of lefties either, so that's kind of nice, but he does hit lefties pretty well. He is a pull hitter, which is amazing. He has really good arm out in the outfield, so you can throw him in left or right field. Right field is his primary, but putting him in left isn't going to lose too much. 71 speed is going to be enough to get it done. I wish it was a little bit higher, but he is a very good outfielder defensively despite the speed, and he absolutely mashes. I promise you, this is probably one of my best cards in general in terms of hitting. I have him at P4. I'm surprised I haven't finished him off, but there were so many other guys like you'll see later in the list that came out that I want to give them a try. Larry's a beast. Put him in left. Next, you got Julio Rodriguez in center. This might be kind of a surprise for some people, but the 99 speed and the high fielding and reaction and 99 arm are what get him out here. It's really nice to have cards that have the great hitting and the great fielding that you put in center field, because center field, you're going to have to cover more ground, especially to cover up some of the weaknesses for guys that are strictly hitters. So I've got Julio over here in the 4 outfielder spot in center because he's going to make up a lot of the ground for Renfroe and Larry in the speed department. He'll cover pretty much the entire rest of the outfield if those other great defenders that are a little bit slower can't get there. Reverse splits is amazing. He has 115 power plus on both sides, so he'll have plenty of home run power. He'll get over 110 contact versus left once you parallel him a couple of times. And Julio's swing is pretty good. It's not my favorite, but it's pretty good. He doesn't have any live series quirks, sadly, because he is a rookie, and that really holds him back a little bit more than maybe he otherwise would be. But despite that, he's still really good. He's our center fielder on the number 4. And then we're moving over to Hunter Renfroe. I've talked about him in a couple other tier lists before, particularly on first base. He is one of the absolute best hitters and swings in the game. Used him in BR and never used this card. This card is just like that, except he actually has contact, and his PCI isn't the size of a P. 125 power versus both sides and over 110 contact versus both sides is amazing. He has 94 fielding and right, so just keep him out there or at first, which if you want to use him at first, I don't blame you, but right field is actually a really good spot for him. 97 reaction is great. 99 arm is even better. The speed, it leaves a little to be desired, but the reaction and the fielding are going to help cover that up just a little bit. I love Hunter Renfroe, and between him and Larry, this outfield hitting is fantastic, and Julio covers the range that they might lack. I think this unit is really, really good, and they're number 4 in the game for me. Number 3 on our list is going to start with Jose Ramirez in left field, Cody Bellinger in center, and Hank Aaron in right. Now, you might look at this list and be like, wait, this is really weird. I probably wouldn't play any of these guys in the outfield. And you're probably right. But if you do have your infield already covered, and there's so many great options in this game, and you don't want to use the classic guys in the outfield, this is actually one of the best units. It has a lefty and a righty and a switch hitter, so you're covered on all of the angles in terms of the pitching aspect of it. They all have over 80 speed, which is amazing actually, and they're all pretty decent defenders. You got Diamond in center, Diamond in right, and Jose has 80 plus in the outfield, which is not terrible at all when you have 88 speed and 86 reaction. Jose is a switch hitter, and he has way better stats versus righties than lefties, but he has every quirk in the game pretty much when it comes to hitting, and that's going to help him out a lot. So that 103 will actually play up in terms of the contact versus left. And something about Jose Ramirez cards, they just absolutely slap. This year in particular, I feel like they always have, but this year in particular, Jose has gone ham-burglar for me and gone nuclear. I'm hitting 427 and 100 at bats with this guy. I really, really love him. And I personally would use him in the infield. I think I start him at second base in my God squad, but using him in left field, if you don't have some of the other options, or you just want to try some other guys out in the infield that don't have the flexibility, throw him in left. Then you got Cody B in center, double barrel power versus right, and he's maxed out versus right with a double barrel power. 81 speed is really high for a Cody card. I feel like he always has great defense, and I feel like Cody cards always get put at first base for whatever reason, but 81 speed is plenty in the outfield, so there is no reason to have to hide him at first. 106 contact leaves a little to be desired versus left, but again, you're not facing lefties that often, so is it really a problem? I'm not super convinced. If you P5 him too, it winds up being 110, so it kind of gets to be elevated to the point where you want it to. Cody is one of the best swings in the game. He just hits home runs after home runs after home runs. And he's going to play a great center field despite not being one of the quote-unquote faster outfielders. Then you got Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron's definitely a card that you probably want to use at second base if you're going to use him, just because, again, there's so many great outfielders. But using him in right field is actually probably a fantastic spot because it's his primary, so he will have diamond defense in right field always. Some of the other positions he has to get up to that point by getting him P4 or higher. So in right field, he'll start with diamond defense out of the box. 120, 125 versus right reverse split's amazing. 117, 117 versus left is also fantastic. He's absolutely a great hitter. Really an all-around fantastic card that I just don't particularly like, so I would never use Hank Aaron in my outfield, but I have to respect the fact that this card goes crazy, and I know a lot of people do, in fact, love his swing. So just because I am not quite as successful with him does not mean you won't be. He fits into this outfield perfectly, and I think this is the third best outfield in the game. All right, and now we have the second best outfield in MLB The Show 22. We're going to start it off with Brian Reynolds in left field, which is probably a surprise to a couple people. Andrew McCutchen in center, and Bryce Harper in right field. Now, hear me out. I like Reynolds in left a little more than I like him in center because McCutchen has 99 fielding over there in center field, and he's just going to get to every single ball. I'd rather have the most amount in center, especially with a guy who might lack a little bit in the outfield over there in right field. So we're going to keep him with his diamond, essentially perfect fielding in center field, and we'll take the hit a little bit on Brian Reynolds in left. That's just how I'd prefer it, but you guys are free to change this up however you want, but that's how I feel about it. Brian Reynolds is one of the best cards in the game. Mickey Mantle Jr., if you will. 121, 123 versus right, 118, 117 versus left. That is with my parallels, of course, so if you guys hear me saying numbers that aren't base, that's why. Sorry about that. He gets up to 91 fielding in center field, so he's not even diamond right out of the box in center. He happens to be for me. That's also part of why I have him in left, because you have to work him up to get to center field. In that meantime, you keep him in left, and then maybe once he gets to P3, you'll put him in right or in center field and make that work for you. 93 speed is very, very good. His arm is also fantastic with 95, and his switch hitter, he's just one of the best they've ever given us. Realistically, like, this card is actually better than the initial Mickey Mantle they gave us 2 years ago, that prime one. This one's better, and Brian Reynolds should absolutely be an option for you in the outfield, especially if you like switch hitters and you don't want to lock yourself into somebody else. He might be the overall fourth best outfielder in the game, but here he is on the number 2 unit. Then you got McCutchen. He was a pretty early Legends and Flashbacks card, so people got burnt out from him pretty quick. I do know I don't see a lot of people using him anymore. I am actually one of those people also. But 121, 111 versus righties at P5, 125, 120 versus left, the other reverse right at P5 is amazing. Maxed out fielding. He has a really, really good reaction, over 92 speed. His swing is absolutely chef's kiss. And it's really cool to see a McCutcheon that was this good. Use him while you can, because I don't know if we'll ever get another one that's even remotely good as this. So shout out to Kutch in the 2012 season. And then we have Harper over in right field, McCutcheon being in center, and realistically any of the next group, any of the top 5 outfielders in the game really could have been paired with Harper, because Harper is not going to be the best fielder in the world. He does have 83 fielding in right, which is not terrible. 74 speed can definitely get it done, but he has a little to be desired in the fielding spot. He'll definitely not get the some balls that you wish he would. But Bryce Harper, double barrel power versus lefty and righty. Then he has 123 versus right and 115 versus left. Is so good. Plus, as Bryce Harper always does, look at the quirks: homebody, day player, first pitch, unfazed, dead red, rally monkey. He's gonna hit everything so far, so hard. The vision's a little low. That kind of sucks, but I love Harper cards. He's had a couple MVP cards in the past, and this one just happened to be an NLCS MVP, so technically this falls into the same category also. He's just so good, and I really like him with these other speedy guys in the outfield, especially McCutcheon, to kind of cover that ground that he won't be able to get to. And I do think that his bat is probably better than every other card we've talked about that is kind of his archetype, where they don't fully live up fielding wise, but the bat is still really strong. He's probably the best of the bunch, which is why he's on the second best outfield in the game. All right, and we have the best outfield in the game. This is probably to nobody's surprise, but we do have Mike Trout, Mickey Mantle, and Ken Griffey Jr. This is probably the way I would have them in the outfield. I'm kind of torn between putting Mickey in center or Griffey in center, just flip-flopping those two. Just do whichever you feel is best in terms of them being a fielder. I kind of like Mickey's speed a little bit more, but Griffey does have maxed out fielding in center if you do put him there. So it's one of those things. Which do you prefer, the speed or the fielding boost? It's not super significant. I think the speed might be a little bit better though. Mike Trout in left, he does leave a little bit on the table in terms of defense, obviously, because he's not diamond anywhere else but center field. So if you want to keep a full diamond outfield, Trout in center might actually be the way. If he has 99 speed, he'll get to everything pretty much as well as Griffey or Mantle will. I just like him in left because I want to have the best fielder possible in center field, not just the almost best. But Trout is probably the best hitter in the game. I mean, look at him. Just look at this card. Mike Trout cards are always really good statistically, but they just play better because of the swing and because of the fact that it's Trout. But this Trout actually has max power versus both sides, which the other ones never do. Usually he's a reverse split guy too, so having a Trout that's actually better versus lefties is super interesting. He's not bad versus righties at all with 113 base contact and obviously the power. Vision's low. It's Trout. What do you expect? But he has every quirk you could ever imagine, and it's just Mike Trout's swing. So a Trout with quirks and the actual stats to back it up make him probably, in my opinion, the best hitting card in the game. Then you got Mickey Mantle, who's probably the best card they've ever given us in terms of Diamond Dynasty. Switch hitter, maxed out versus both sides in everything. The vision is over 100. He gets up to 99 speed. His fielding is at 90 plus default, so he's really good in center field. 98 arm. He'll get one more once I get up to 90 or P3. He'll be maxed out on the arm. It's just insane how good this card is. It's the best they've ever given us. If you love Mickey swings, you'll be great. Some people don't love it. I understand that. If you don't love Mickey swings and you don't want to keep using them, throw Brian Reynolds out here instead. It's essentially the same thing. You're obviously losing a couple of hitting stats, but the top group are all so similar that you cannot be mad at it. He was the collection as well, so you would expect a Mickey that costs millions and millions of stubs to be really good. And here he is, maxed out. And then we have Takashi Ken Griffey Jr., the second 99 Griffey we got in the game this year. We got the first one. We're like, oof, this is not going to be great. This will not be good at all. And we were praying for another one. We did eventually get another one. This is him right here. He's maxed versus righties. He has almost maxed out power versus lefties once I get him to P4. And he has over 110 contact versus left as well. 99 defense. He'll get over 90 plus speed once you parallel him a couple times. It's Griffey's swing is what I'll say. He is a little weird in terms of timing. So if you're playing on Legend or anything and you like the tempo, he's not quite the best. But if you're below Legend and not facing Randy Johnson, Griffey is probably the best outfield option out there on the left side. He's just so good. And I mean, everybody and their mother would have bet that Trout, Mantle, Griffey was going to be the best outfield in the game by the end of the year. And here we are, the #1 outfield in the game right in front of your eyes. So that's going to wrap up this list, everybody. I'm going to try and have it set up so I have all of the outfields listed right behind me, next to me, somewhere in the middle. I'm not exactly sure where. We'll figure that out. Shout out to Brooklyn, the editor, for getting this done. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any questions, you let me know. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people angry about this list and angry at certain spots and players and honorables or that didn't even make it there. And you let me know who that is. I'll take it. It's okay. There's just so many great outfielders in this game, and I figured putting them in a formula that you could see them in the outfield and where I'd put them would be better than just listing them in general. So that's how I feel about it. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you like the videos and if you like all the top 10s, make sure you like and subscribe down below. We'll be doing a bunch of MLB The Show 23 content coming out after this, because this was the last end game list. I'll see you guys in the next video, and thank you so much. Peace.